a place where the truth should be kept.
The arts and music scene really shows what people are about.
Share what's going on here in York.
It makes you feel like a family.
Local art has a face that most people can relate to.
Our community up here that sticks together.
Art is art.
Great potential with great artists, poets, singers, writers, directors, filmmakers. It's fantastic. Everyone has a story to tell.
That moment, you have to capture that moment and share it with the rest of the world.
Showing something that maybe has not been seen before.
Without art, what good is life?
I am art. I've been art ever since I was born.
It really adds a great deal to our community.
We don't really need art to exist, but you need art to live.
Culture main is important, and I think playing out is important, and playing open mics and playing wherever you can play. It's all about us all checking in with each other.
I had to leave when I was young. Well, I had to roam, I had to run, and it's been years since I've been gone. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. But I go back in my mind. There's something pulling on my line. Sun setting on a skipping stone. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. There was a moonlight swim to the other shore. When the water falls, you know it pours. She met me there, but I left alone. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. I left her there in the river mud. She said that I was her one true love. She changed her mind. Now can't you hear her moan? Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. River that I've crossed, and every mile that I've lost, it'll bring me round and it'll chill my bones. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. Across the Susquehanna, the place where I call home. So I've been writing a lot of songs for a long time, and I've always found it hard to write a truly sincere love song. So I sat down one afternoon and found that I did not write a sincere love song. I wrote What Love Was Not. This is called What I Call Love. heart is like a canyon where people come to the edge and they look down. And despite all my careful planning, most everyone has turned around. There's been a few who've fallen in and thought that they might help me up, never to be seen again. But baby, that ain't what I call love. My poor soul has turned to desert, and all of your tears to grains of sand. If I ever was to cause you hurt, it'll run like a water through my hands. And there's an oasis on the horizon where we can drink of a loving cup. If you're dragging things behind us, well, baby, that ain't what I call love. My poor mind is like a freight train with a line of cars 6 miles long. And my last stop is in the pouring rain. Now pull my cord if you wanna get off, 'cause we're gonna roll down like lightning, and we're gonna creep like a thunder does. And if you find all this too frightening, well, baby, that ain't what I call love. I call love.
So JD, you are officially the first country music musician that we've had here on Culture in Maine.
Well, how about that?
So thank you for bringing your music to us. And what do people in York, when you play out at a venue, how do they receive that kind of music as opposed to what they might hear otherwise?
Well, I think it takes them by surprise sometimes. I mean, I don't normally play what you'd call the modern day country. I play country music from the 70s, maybe some things from 80s, and maybe a couple of good songs from the 90s. Not much from the 2000s. I've heard a few good songs pop up that I might have covered occasionally, but I think they're pleasantly surprised, like songs that they have forgotten but remember well, you know.
And so you're talking about cover songs, but what you've done for us here today on Culture in Maine is some of your original music. Why don't you tell us about that, your inspirations, your experience playing and writing your own original music?
Well, I like to slip them in and surprise people with my originals, and that they seem to. I get asked who wrote that a lot, which kind of makes me feel good. I take that as a compliment, you know. And certain rooms are hard to play original music in, but lately I've been doing a cover song, original song, cover song, original song, and that works well for me. That keeps me happy. You know, I'd much rather play original songs and one cover than all cover songs and one original. You know.
Okay. And you were telling me this story, maybe you could share it with the folks watching Culture of Maine, about some of your early days writing music with the publishers outside of this area.
Yeah, I got a call down in 1993 from Nashville, RMG Publishing Group, and I worked down there for 6 years for those guys and wrote hundreds and hundreds of songs, all commercial, and not one of which I could remember to play for you now. And I found myself feeling kind of soulless down there. I felt like it was all to grab the brass ring, you know what I mean? And, they'd make their appointments in the afternoon, and we'd write a song, and they would be as happy as they could be, and they thought they had hit songs, which I never felt that way. And I never had a hit song either. So I would go home and write for myself, and after a couple of years down there, I put together my own band and recorded an album down there with producer Bill Halverson, and we started gigging around down there, and I was able to go at the town from an artist perspective, and it was different. You got a whole different kind of respect than being in the machine as opposed to be approaching as an artist.
Which brings us up to date that you were sharing with me. There is a new CD that will be coming out at some point in the near future. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days that will be on the CD?
Yeah, well, in 2010, we put together a band, me and my partner Ralph Donato, and we started playing some of my originals, and they took on a form of their own with his help and the band's help. It's sort of, I like to call it a honky-tonk jam band is what we do. And they took, I wrote the songs, but once it's put in their hands, it goes places that, I would never think to take it, and that has been a great avenue for me. I've really enjoyed that.
And how have the songs, how has your music, your songs progressed through now that's 2014? Are there new topics or new ways that you're doing your music?
Well, I think I went back to writing songs that would benefit a solo performance or a duo performance as opposed to a band. I guess you could call them quieter songs, but not necessarily, maybe quieter in the approach as opposed to all-out rock and roll songs or all-out hard country songs, And I take my inspiration. I was told a long, long time ago that songs are all over, floating in the air. All you have to do is reach up and grab the hook. Just reach up and grab them. Don't let anything slide by. Something clever, something happens on the street. When I first moved to Tennessee, I didn't know anybody, and I would go to the airport and watch hellos and goodbyes, and look at the families or the couples as they were saying hello, goodbye. And you can tell a lot by that. If a woman runs up to her husband off the jetway and gives her a big old hug, well, she's missed him, and if she just stands up and walks away, well, there might be something going on in that relationship, So I learned a lot from doing that, and I try to stay observant and grab what I can from everyday life or a clever turn of a phrase.
Okay, so we'll look for the new CD in the next year or so, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you all having me. Thank you very much. This song was written for a fellow I knew when I was a child down in Delta, Pennsylvania, where I spent my formative years. And he was, I guess you'd call him the mean neighbor. And as I grew up and I recollected back on him, I realized how much I enjoyed him. I was lucky enough to be part of his life, and this is for Mr. Joe Watkins. When I was a kid, about a mile down the road, there lived an old red-skinned man everybody called Indian Joe. He never liked nobody running around his place, but he must have gotten used to seeing my face.
used to sit on the porch facing the road, watching everybody come and go. Injun Joe. Well, he taught me how to whittle and a whistle through my teeth. A fret and fuss, spit and cuss, all in my bare feet. Sitting beside his old trash fire, he'd let them stories spin. And I hung on every word like it was never to be heard again. He used to sit on the porch facing the road, watching everybody come and go. Injun Joe. Well, he used to buy me my whiskey, and we'd get the feeling right. He'd sing and chant, shout and dance, and pass around that pipe. And he'd fall asleep with a melody underneath the stars. And I always tucked that bottle back up underneath his arm. He used to sit on the porch facing the road, watching everybody come and go. Injun Joe. But the town was breaking ground, and his house was falling down. On the day that I left town, old Joe could barely get around. And as I turned the corner and I got ready to wave, the concrete and asphalt had covered over old Joe's place. It looked like he might had dropped right off the edge of the earth. And I ain't ever going back again, for what it's worth. We used to sit on the porch facing the road, watching everybody come and go. Me and Injun Joe. We used to sit on the porch facing the road, watching everybody come and go. Me and Injun Joe. Me and Injun Joe.
Hi, my name is Elijah Cross, and I have a book coming out with Poem Sugar Press called Far from the Pantheon. And so I'm going to give you some of the pieces that are in that book. And if you like what you see and hear, there's also a show that I have coming up on June 7th at the Shop at Newgrounds Roasting Company. And I'll be doing stand-up comedy, music, and magic there. And perhaps some copies of the book will be available as well. So Far from the Pantheon is a collection of poems that I originally wrote about 10 years ago when I was young and cynical and stupid. And so a lot of that kind of personality is in the original text. As time went on and my feelings on some things changed and I kind of matured and settled down, and figuratively and literally, I'm married now, I decided to add some pieces to the book to kind of show where I'm at as a person now and as a poet. So here are a few poems from the first part of the journey. This first one is called Chances Are. Ours would be a love so golden, gold itself would seem like stones. Ours would be a romance rolled in loving looks and tender tones. You and I would surely share a passion never witnessed yet, something like a modern era Romeo and Juliet. You'd awaken to my kisses, worshipping your stirring head. Then we'd show the world what bliss is, comfortably from our bed. Afternoons, we'd go out strolling lazily along our beach, sparkling waves serenely rolling, private paradise in each. Near the night, we'd sing while sailing out to sea, with every strain, harmony and peace prevailing, happiness in each refrain. Resting on utopia's water, lying with your hand in mine, we could mingle with the otter, gazing up at flying swine. This is a poem written kind of around that same time, called Maturity. In younger years, my group of peers knew nothing of romance. The 10s and 9s were won with lines or some seductive dance. For most, it took a simple look. No plans were too complex, and some I knew would merely do enough to get them sex. But now we're grown, and time has shown what things we never knew. The lines we said to get in bed are swaying very few. It takes more work. A little smirk won't land some stubborn minks. We're young no more, so now to score we have to buy them drinks. So here are one of the newer poems, and this is a sonnet called Considering. Considering the way I turned from you, who granted me a life I haven't earned, and how you chose to patiently pursue my soul until it finally returned, I have no valid reason to expect the love I offer anyone on earth to be a love too perfect to reject, immediately seen for what it's worth. For though it comes from you, who cannot sin, it travels through the filter of my flaws, obscuring what is stirring me within, convincing those who see the rest to pause, to wonder if I'm what I claim to be. And so I bear the weight of irony. This is a poem called Testimonial. This isn't just a wrinkle on my skin. It isn't just a tally of my years. It represents a soul that fights to win, an earnest heart that boldly perseveres, no matter how the cynics rate the cost. It symbolizes every love I've known, or hoped to know, or ultimately lost. It chronicles exactly how I've grown, with every minor step and major stride, when hope arose and when it quickly dropped, my every laugh and every time I've cried. Above all else, it shows I haven't stopped my tireless pursuit of every dream. I'm grateful for my anti-aging cream. And lastly, this is a poem called I Haven't Gone. I haven't gone to see your stone, or kneel beside the mound that interrupts the lawn. My worried friends have told me why they feel I haven't gone. They bring me flowers I might lay upon your grave and offer words to help me heal, to make me unafraid of moving on. I never try to tell them of our deal, of how you said, I'll greet you every dawn, in spirit, with a whisper to reveal I haven't gone.
Please enjoy the work of David Brown, York's celebrity photographer. If you know anything about York, Pennsylvania, you probably have run across photographer David Brown. Now, David was a mailman right here in York, all the way up through 2005. But in 2003, he was diagnosed with a disease called Parkinson's. It's a degenerative nerve disease that causes him to shake, and it's the reason why he's not interviewing in person with us today. His voice is a little bit slurred and sometimes difficult to understand, but his work absolutely speaks for him. Now, David is one of the best portrait photographers in the area, and he is definitely one of the most loved. David picked up an SLR digital camera shortly after retiring and after his wife passed. He started shooting, and then he taught himself Adobe Photoshop to then crop, edit, and enhance those images. And completely self-taught, he used his natural eye to find a way to capture the heart and soul of his portrait subjects. He's been shooting musicians, models, artists, creatives, and even a few celebrities over the course of the last 10 years. His work is really beautiful, and we're showing it to you over the music of Red Eye, one of his favorite bands to photograph.
All right, this first song is called "Dark Day." It's kind of a melancholy tune, really. It's my sister had lost two brothers, and it kind of wrote it based off of that. So, yeah.
Cancel all my plans just to see you again. I swear through the fall you were staring at your window when the ghost left my side, never to return. That's when I knew I'll never see you again. I'd count all the raindrops touching down on the rooftops where I'm staring, wishing you were home, coming through that door from your first day of school. That's when I knew there's no more sharing. I was there with you. It's a cold one coming over the hill. When I find you at your graveside, buried under the earth and rock, I still get chills the day your soul left mine. And I was told not to go to the bed right where you slept. They barred off the door, sealed off my hate. Sure, I had to burn it down, for your breath still brushes my neck. It's hard to bear this alone. Well, I still curse his name in vain, for he took you away. Though I know it was no one's fault. What do I do with all this anger and rage? Maybe I'll be saved come Judgment Day. Well, it's a dark day, darling, when your eyes close and the sun's still up. It's a cold one coming over the hill. When I find you at your graveside, buried under the earth and rock, still get chills the day your soul left mine. It's a dark day, it's a dark day, darling.
This song is called Johnny Boy. It's about kind of, I wrote it when a lot of news going on of injustices against different people versus, because of their, color or religion or whatever. And this song is just kind of a story about a family in the Revolutionary War, kind of trying to survive all of that, just being different and trying to just keep alive. Is kind of just it's a, I don't know, big metaphor, I guess, for just being angry at the injustices. So anyway, this one's called Johnny Boy. I see it in your eyes, you see it in the sky. And fire's coming over the hill and the smoke's rising higher. So Johnny boy, go get your 62. Take your mom and sister far away. For war is coming and it's coming to you. So take your gun and run, Johnny boy, run. And redcoat's on his way. And if we kill them all now, there might be peace someday, they say. Well, I don't care for land or law. Listen, boy, 'cause I'm your paw. Take your family safe afar. Johnny boy, run. To the east and caught the barn on fire, and they shot old Paul for claiming to love a higher power. Yeah, freedom, they said, would never leave, but by the color of your skin or of your creed. They cried treason in a second with the hangman's noose. Yeah, freedom, son's just a fairy tale away. Freedom, son's just a fairy tale. Through the forest buzzing, the bees on their way. The earth is alive and free, just like we should be. Love, son, is here to stay. And with that we nailed love away. But love will come again. That love boy will lead the family home, 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 home.
Well, we're back with Rick McVicker, who is, besides an awesome musician, he is officially a talent hound extraordinaire. I've decided we're going to keep that as your tagline.
Okay.
The talent hound extraordinaire.
I like that. I think I'll use it.
We'll switch it up because I do want to actually talk about the podcast, but we'll start with the music.
Okay. Okay.
Different. You love how we roll with that.
Yes.
You love how we roll
Keep
with
it
that.
spontaneous.
Exactly. Okay, so how did you actually get started? Which came first, the love of the music or wanting to share the music with people? I'm guessing it was playing.
You know, I don't really remember. I think I started out playing bass, and I found a friend's bass, in his basement. And I was like, dude, can I try it? And my friend played drums, and he's like, sure, whatever. It wasn't even his bass. I just picked it up and started playing it.
The way garage bands are born.
So we ended up playing together, excuse me, for many years. And I've been in a couple bands throughout the area and stuff like that, but I started to drift over into playing acoustic after I got out of some of the bands because I just was tired of dealing with all the drama that came with bands. Yeah, and I had some stuff that I had to get out.
Okay,
yeah.
what is the drama that comes with bands?
Oh, it depends. As you grow, excuse me, geez. I was in a band for so long that we kind of went through the end of high school to like beginning of college, so that finding yourself
That's a lot of life drama.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, and I think I actually got married in that time period. So like the life changes that happen in your views on life and different things that you write about tend to make or break bands. In this case, it broke bands. We were all still friends, but it just ended up not working out.
The artistic expression just became so divergent. You guys weren't on that same.
Yeah. So that was kind of that, and then with my music that I write, it tends to be a lot different than what we were doing in other bands. I played in a band where I didn't have any writing kind of cloud at all, where I was just playing bass, which was fine, but it seemed like they weren't really trying too hard sometimes, and I just boogied out of that.
So the difference between being a singer-songwriter and a solo artist as opposed to being a member of the band, you would say, so pros of being on your own are that you get that control, you get that artistic control, you can do
whatever I want.
You can be completely different on different nights. But then in a band, what are the pros of working in a band or with a group?
You don't have to write. Sometimes, the one thing that was nice, I played with Katie Glorioso for a while, which was a lovely experience.
She's lovely.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I left because of personal reasons, but it was really nice to kind of like learn the material, show up and play, and you go home at night. So you can just enjoy the experience of having a show and playing in a show versus when you do the writing yourself and the singing yourself and the performance yourself, you have to worry about everything. Right. But the creative freedom that you have to kind of be and do whatever you want is worth it. It's worth the lack of confidence there.
Okay, so now how did you balance the whole, you said you got married fairly young, and then
20.
but still continued with music. How did you balance being married so young and family with trying to continue to grow as a musician? We come across that a lot as artists are talking about their development, that family is that key determining factor in whether they stay local, whether they start touring more, what kind of music they do. I mean, did that change a lot of your artistic expression? No more party gigs?
No, never did those anyway. I got married at 20. I'm not that,
Like if I was going to be a party guy, I wouldn't be starting my story with I got married at 20.
So it didn't really, I mean, the thing that it made difficult was, like now I have a 1.5-year-old too, and my own house and a full-time job, and my wife has a full-time job, and then she's also kind of starting her own thing, and I do so right now the juggling has been the craziest it ever has been. Like before it was fine. Right. And not to get too off subject, but I do the podcast out of my house. So twice a month I have strangers in my home. There's my daughter is hi, just
nice.
Random people walking in. And so she's been very supportive. And it's just been kind of freeing because I would never have been able to do the things that I do now if I didn't get married. Because I wouldn't have a house, I wouldn't have a space to have a studio, I wouldn't have any of that.
Right.
Or the support, of a family without a family. It's nice to have that support behind you, but yeah.
So how did the podcast end up coming to be besides you were like, hey, I have a house and space. I'm going to build a studio and start broadcasting music from it.
I got bored. I did. I had in my mind that I bought some small recording equipment. I was like, I'm going to finish my disc, my album, before my daughter's born, and that didn't happen, as it never does. And I don't think I've finished it. I got 6 out of 8 done. That's 6 out of 8 tracks done. That's fine.
Okay.
But I was listening to another podcast, and the guy was saying that it's the easiest thing to do. It's free. You just record it and put it up if you have anything to record with. And I did. And I was like, well, what would I do? There isn't really, I couldn't really think of anything. And I thought, well, what if I had like bands do acoustic gigs, live, and then I'll interview them and, try to make it more conversational than question, kind of like this. And so that's kind of what started it all. And I started it in September of 2013. And I'm on this Wednesday, well, I don't know when this will go, but I'm on my 15th episode, essentially.
Awesome.
My 15th is airing.
What do you look for when you are trying to find someone that you want to put out there?
Generally unsigned. It is local music, local artist based.
And by local, is that the triangle, like your like northeastern seaboard?
I've realized it's subjective completely to the whim of myself because the second band I had on was from New York. I just knew a guy that went to school with me, so it was kind of there was a connection, local connection.
Gotcha.
But mostly it's unsigned bands that are touring to eat. They're touring to just be able to go into a recording studio and record a track a month to get something recorded. Right. So that's kind of my criteria for it. Like, not even if I wanted to get somebody who was more of a national act, I don't have the clout to do that. But I would if I could.
So it's about finding the talent that is on its way to being that.
Yeah, or even, just bands that kind of have made their name for themselves in the area. Like, we were talking a little bit before that Matt Wheeler has a group called Matt Wheeler and the Vintage Heart, and they're popular in Lancaster, and I had them on, and just Matt Wheeler, and I had some bands from Baltimore, some from York, like this band called the Hepcats. They're a band from around here. They're great. So I try to, it's mostly Lancaster, Harrisburg, Baltimore, and York is kind of the area that I target, but sometimes it can go outside of that.
So what is it like, what is the process you have to go through to put a podcast together? Like, is it really just shoot them and then bam,
well,
click a button and now they're live?
It really depends. Right now, everything's out of my pocket. I don't have any funding or anything like that. Nobody makes donations. It's all basically what I make on my second job goes into this. So I have to take into account how many members they have, what kind of gear they have, what kind of footprint, like if there is, like I did a bluegrass band, it was like 6 members. So I had to clear out my living room to make room for them.
Nice.
I have another friend of mine who's an engineer who comes on, helps me do the big shows. But, if it's a big band, I'll do the songs first and the interviewing later, and I'll cut the songs in. If it's one like I did this last time, where it's just one person, I'll just go through the whole thing, start to finish, talk, song, talk, song, talk, song.
So why do it? What is it about this that so compels you when it's not necessarily, and this is a total for the love of the art question, because everybody has to address this. Right. What is it that makes a poet drive 2 hours to sell 2 books? What is it that makes an artist work 2 jobs and spend 27 hours on a painting to sell for $40 at an art fair? What is it that makes a music lover rearrange their whole house and invest in the equipment, the time, and a whole job devoted to it to keep this going out there?
Love and anger. Really, the love of
writing a poem called that.
Well, it's for the love first off, because you want to do it. There's something inside you that's different that you just can't not do it. It's the same. It's like with a podcast, the same thing with my music. A lot of the stuff I was playing at a pub one night, the song "Broken," and I realized right then and there, I was like, this song is the most cynical song I've ever written, and but it's okay because it was right where I was at when I wrote it. But maybe even if people don't like it or don't want to hear it, or maybe it's too much of a downer. Well, for me, it's somebody's got to write it. Somebody has to sing the stuff, and that's what I do. For the podcast, it's somebody has to take these bands and try to give them as much light as they can, however bright or dim that light may be that you're shining on them. It's all about just making them known, or trying to do whatever you can for them, just because you want to. One of my biggest influences is Henry Rollins, who is he's from the band Black Flag, and he does a lot of spoken word stuff, and he's just quite an angry individual, and a lot of that, it inspired me.
That inspired you.
Well, no, it inspired me to get angry again, but use it in a righteous way.
To be passionate.
Yeah, and just listening to a lot of his stuff I saw him in Harrisburg was just like, getting up and doing it, whether you think you're a good singer or whether you think you're a good player, as every musician does, frankly. I don't think that I am that good. I don't think that, my music tends to be a little more brash than the folk that's out there, but I pull a lot from punk and just kind of like
punk folk.
Yeah, and there's Andrew Jackson Jihad is a great folk punk artist, and he's a good inspiration too. But it's all about taking that anger and channeling into something that isn't a wall or a door or something that might that other people might not have that focus, they might be searching for that focus. I use music as that. That's kind of why. Love and anger, to shorten it up. Love and anger.
Amazing. Okay, so where can people go to find the podcast and to find more of you?
Well, the podcast is at inkinstereo.com. I do articles as well, so there's the ink part of that, and stereo is kind of the podcast thing. Nice. My wife came up with it. She's brilliant. Nice. And then for my music, I'm on Facebook, SoundCloud, what else am I? Bandcamp, Reverb Nation, but Facebook is / Rick McVicker Music. But you just kind of Google Rick McVicker Music, it should come up there somewhere in there. So, but yeah, I have about 6 songs up there.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
I can't wait to get to go watch more of the emerging Rick McVicker Love and Anger.
Oh, thanks.
I feel inspired.
This next song is called Broken, and it's kind of I don't know. After listening to kind of the lyrics a couple times, it turns out a little cynical, but it's okay. It's just kind of a reflection on myself, not being able to do everything for the people that I see that might need it, and not having the means to be able to do that in every way that I want to do it, and kind of searching for the ways that I can help in what I do have. So this song's called Broken. Take two. Sorry. There's a part of me that's broken, with a shadow in the hall, just a corpse in a bar down the way. The tide's rolling in thick like oil from the heavy-handed coward on the hill. And old faithful, she's still humming, and all the while we grow numb and restless, with our colors wave on tried and true. Oh. Our little ones are dying of thirst. Our pot-bellied kids lost to hunger, and the tin cans kicked by the ones left forgotten. The paper cuts to the bones. The child is left behind by her mother, just so the water and lights can stay on. And all the while we sit here and wonder, have we ended what should go on? And we forget that our soul's worth redemption, that we've lost sight of everyone. And everyone. Well, what happened to the way we all said hello, and where has common ground gone? Well, I see you crying there, and I should ask why. I'll be damned if I'm late for work. See, kindness has left the country, that sacrifice knows no worth. Oh. God help us if we should lose another scrap of ourselves. There's so little left to give anyway. And how could we ever fix what's broken? Could we put our hate up on the shelf? Could we forgive like we've been forgotten? See, the sides we're too busy killing time, while our youth are laid to the gun. To the ones that will suffer, I'm sorry I couldn't do more. Do more. Well, what happened to the way we all said hello, and where has common ground gone? Well, I see you crying there, and I should ask why. I'll be damned if I'm late for work. See, I tried and I failed. I can't even say that I tried my best, but know that I die inside every night that you go thirsty. And to the kids getting taken every night, just know that help is on its way. I wish I could be there to save you. Let's save you. Let's save you from the hell that I put you through. Let's save you. To save you. To save you. To save you. To save you.
I'm Carla Christopher, and thank you for joining us right here on the corner of Culture in Maine for another episode of York's weekly cultural showcase, bringing you the very best of the art and culture scene in the York area. Now, if you like what you heard, or even if you didn't, we want to hear from you. So find us on Facebook and make sure to click like at facebook.com/Culture in Maine. Follow us on Twitter at Culture in Maine. Email us at cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Or to find all things Culture in Maine, check out our website, wrct.tv. Go to Channel 18, Show Profiles, and pick Culture in Maine. We want to also thank the artists who contributed to our set. We want to thank Hacker and Case for Change for donating the guitar. And we want to thank, of course, the fabulous artist Lovey Reinhold Price. Find her under The Glass Vidalia on Facebook or by emailing theglassvidalia@gmail.com. And John Stump of jsphotographyfinearts.com. You can also look up JS Photography Fine Arts on Facebook as well. So be safe, be good to each other, and we will absolutely see you here next week on the corner of Culture and Maine.
I'm really excited about this. I love the atmosphere. I just want to know more about it.
I see it evolving, changing, growing. And I like it.
It's fleeting. Once it happens, once a song comes out, once a poem comes out, it'll never come out the same.
Something like Culture in Maine is documenting what's going on in a way that will have that lasting staying power.
It just breeds health, growth. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. Yes.